Justin, great to catch up last night, mate. Again, breathtaking semi-final. You're sitting there calling it in the Stade de France as the Springboks upset France. Talk us through.
Well, look, I think, again, like the All Black game, just an absolutely quality game of rugby. It had everything. It had drama, it had intensity, it had physicality. And when you boil it down to both games, there were little micro elements within both of them where certain teams wrestled ascendancy, then it got wrestled off them. But ultimately, cashing in at the right time proved to be vital in getting a victory. But look, the atmosphere, the obviously the environment, and the Stade de France as a whole complete package was just incredible. Just absolutely amazing to be there and be part of it.
Break it down. I want to ask about Ben O'Keefe because there were some confused rulings last night. How did you assess his performance?
I actually thought Ben O'Keefe and his entire refereeing contingent did a brilliant job. Okay. Under really difficult circumstances. There's every decision you're getting whistled and jeered at by the French crowd. I thought he was unflappable. I thought he basically made his decisions, made them decisively. Look, absolutely, you're not going to get 100% of them right. Referees never do. And I think players accept that. I certainly felt that in terms of the way that the game flowed, the phases. Look, at the end of the day, everybody's saying what a cracking game of rugby was, how brilliant it was in terms of everything that it delivered. If a referee is influencing a game, then it's going to have an effect on the spectacle, isn't it? Nobody is complaining about the spectacle. So what they'll do when it's close and it's tight, and then obviously when a team gets eliminated, is they'll pick on tiny little things in the game where they feel that they were unfairly treated. And I think that's wrong. I think Antoine Dupont coming out and saying that he felt that he wasn't refereed appropriately is poor from a captain to come out and blame the referee, when I thought there were portions of the game that the French really didn't assert their ascendancy on it. They had opportunities and they didn't grab them. South Africa had limited opportunities, didn't have as much ball, made just over 2.5 more tackles more than the French, but yet they were more ruthless when it came to taking points. So, yeah, back to the question, Marty. I think Ben O'Keefe and his entire New Zealand referee contingent can be really proud of the way that they controlled that game, because I certainly felt that we got a really good game of rugby.
High praise and very well explained as always, mate. Justin Marshall with us on the platform. We've seen 2 titanic quarterfinals. I don't know whether or not we were going to match South Africa versus Ireland, but certainly in the last 2 games that we've seen, you put your perspective on how good a games of rugby the last 2 quarterfinals that we witnessed at Stade de France were.
Oh, well, I think first and foremost, Marty, that all the teams that are sitting on the other side of the draw in England must be a little bit apprehensive about what they're going to face when they get to Paris, because when you look at the intensity, the tempo, the physicality, as I said, the pace of the game that was played in the 2 quarterfinals, as opposed, with the greatest respect to the teams down in Marseille, Argentina and England both must be thinking, boy, oh boy, we're going to have to lift our game big time. So, look, in terms of quality of performance, the top 4 teams in the world obviously played each other in Paris, and it was quite clear that the top 4 teams in the world are separated by pretty much nothing. Both games going down into the micro minutes, and drama even in the last phases in the 80th minute as one team tries to steal the game from another. You can't ask for anything more. And the good thing is that all of a sudden the world now has 4 teams that are on their day capable of beating each other. Unfortunately for Ireland and for France, they didn't get the job done at the weekend. It's brilliant for the Southern Hemisphere. But boy, we were treated to some high quality, super skill set rugby over the weekend, particularly in Paris. And we've got to be grateful for that. And I guess, as New Zealanders and South Africans, we get to move on in the tournament, which is absolutely brilliant as well.
A couple more questions on that quarterfinal last night. Then, of course, I've got to ask you about that All Blacks performance against Ireland, which was just outstanding. And even when I just say that and think about it again, I've got a big smile on my face. Man, it was such a great game to be at. The physicality that the South Africans brought, at what kind of level is that? Is that above everybody else at the moment? Or do you think, given what you saw with the All Blacks in Ireland as well, that it is all similar?
It's reasonably similar, and actually I thought the French confronted the South Africans really well, particularly at the breakdown where they actually had a period, particularly sort of in the first 20 minutes of the second half where they were very dominant. They turned a bit of ball over. Their defence was really good, and I think they'll be really concerned about the softness of the two tries that they did concede.
Yes,
one off a turnover.
Yep.
And Creel with a really clever kick for Colby, and then secondly Etzebeth with three defenders hanging off him. Like, you just don't allow a guy to, his determination. I saw Etzebeth on the night was outstanding, but at the end of the day, you've got to, in a quarterfinal, your desperation's got to be better than that, and it wasn't. But for the vast majority of the game, I thought the French really coped with the South Africans' physicality. So I don't think there's a massive difference between any of the four teams. I thought equally in the New Zealand-Ireland game that physicality of both sides was on a par. I think just the difference in that game was that New Zealand were a lot more intelligent. They picked their moments better, particularly in the breakdown in the first 30 minutes where they got key turnovers. It wasn't because they were bigger bodies or they were tougher. They were just smarter. I think when you balance all four teams out, nobody's more superior in terms of strength and physicality. I think they're quite even. It's just about being smart on the rugby field and grabbing the opportunities when they're there to turn the ball over or make a tackle that forces the opposition into making poor decisions.
Justin, it is so easy now, after seeing those two quarterfinals, to look at the other two semi-finalists and go, gimme games. New Zealand and South Africa are to meet in the final. So let's press pause on that and tell me why we should press pause.
Well, look, at quarterfinal rugby, again, it can dictate, I guess, mindset, and I think probably a real positive for England is the fact that they've got through their group, they've got through a quarterfinal undefeated, and their form leading into the World Cup shouldn't have showed us that picture, but it has. But they have a lot of players in that team that were involved in the final in 2019, so they know how to play knockout rugby. Argentina, probably the second poorest team, I think, in this competition in pool play, apart from Italy, and then I guess you've got to throw Australia into the mix. Why not stick the boot into them?
Go on, son.
Yeah, there it is. But look, I certainly feel that their performance was better, but they still are not themselves. They're still a little off. They're grabbing opportunities, but in terms of an 80-minute performance, they're still fluctuating. England, still pushed by Fiji, and when you think about that and you see the quality of what happened in Paris, you have to worry about, yes, their experience is there, but equally is the style and type of rugby that they're playing, given that, yes, it will be, again, a semi-final, and they've been there and done that before, but is their preparation in terms of Argentina and England as good as the other sides in terms of the intensity that the games have been played out on the other side of the pool? I don't think so, and that's why everybody's saying it looks very much like it's going to be a South Africa-New Zealand final, but there is still some hard work to be done, but you would think that's the way it's going to play out on the evidence of what we've seen from the other side of the pool so far.
Okay, a couple of days since we beat Ireland, and I was thinking at the end of that game about having chatted to you over the last couple of weeks, and the wisdom that you bring with it, and I was sitting there with KT just before the game, and he had this look on his face as well. He said, "You know what, Marty?" He says, "I actually believe we can do this. That we have this performance in us." So the first question was it any great surprise to you that you saw the All Blacks come so hard, come so cohesive? It's what we wanted, but were you surprised by it?
I wasn't surprised because I when I was chatting to you last week and all the media that I did during the week was New Zealand's got a performance in them, but we just haven't seen it. Right. We haven't seen it in a couple of years. And when it's come down to big crunch games, we haven't delivered. We did deliver at Ellis Park after being well beaten in the week before at Umbala Stadium. And that was probably one of the best performances that the All Blacks have put together in the 2 years, but still it didn't match the type of performance that was needed to beat a team like Ireland, and they certainly did produce that. So no, I wasn't surprised, but I did lack a little bit of confidence that we were going to find it out of the pool play that we'd been involved with, and I did mention that to you as well. I was concerned that the preparation probably wasn't where it needed to be in terms of facing a team with a bit of resistance, figuring our way out of trouble, getting a bit of physicality that we really needed, not breaking tackles easy like we had been in the 3 games after the French game. I just wondered whether or not that was the right preparation for what was going to be a very difficult challenge. But for somehow, mentally they got themselves into the right space. A performance that we've all known has been there for the All Blacks was finally produced, and wasn't it heartwarming? Didn't it make you feel good? Didn't it make you think, this is the way that All Blacks attitude, the All Black jersey, this is the way that our teams go out and play. And I guess maybe a little bit of that niggle factor of being underdogs hit them as well, where they went, okay, all right, well, we'll just go out there and get stuck in and see whether or not you can cope. And I think that was the most pleasing aspect of the evening. Regardless of the fact that we won or lost the game, you still would have been proud of that performance, because they got stuck in, they were ruthless, they hardly made an error, they played at tempo, they played with physicality, and they were more accurate than we've seen them in a very long time, faultless at times. You know, in the first 2 sort of minutes, it was a little bit wobbly with a little bit of kicking and accuracy, but then they got down the right territory and they went 24 or 5 phases and then banked 3 points. You know, like, I haven't seen them do that many phases the entire tournament. So, yeah, they were on, and that's great to see. And now that should give them the belief and the confidence that they can do that every week.
Couple more questions, Marshy, and we let you go. Okay, so now we talk, and that old chestnut called selection. Do you go with the same 23? And I'm talking especially about Leicester, who I thought was an absolute beast. But, I mean, I actually want to see that same run-on 23 go back again this weekend.
It's that classic conundrum, isn't it, where, you know, you've got probably an incumbent in Taylor who would have been the starter. Obviously, for the discipline reasons, didn't get the opportunity. Somebody grabs the jersey, goes out there and puts in a complete performance. So where does that leave Ian Foster in his mindset? You know, do I go back to the guy that I would have selected anyway? Or do I trust the guy that I put out there in difficult circumstances and he delivered a performance for me? It's a really curly one. In terms of the rest of the team, look, in my mind, I would start following Anuku. I think he just brings something completely different to what Talia does, and I certainly feel that physicality, particularly against Argentina, is really important. And I don't think the Argentinians really like when a winger of his size and his robustness comes in tight, gets balls off 9, picks and goes around the rucks, brings tacklers in. I think that's momentum that we need. So that would be my choice and selection for that. The rest of it, I think, take care of itself. Leading into this week, there's 2 players. I got asked to name 2 players that I felt needed to front for the All Blacks to be able to be in a position to win this game. And this doesn't make me any expert by any means. But the 2 that I singled out were, ironically, Beauden Barrett and Ardie Savea. I thought Ardie needed to deliver a performance because the rest of the team grows when he plays like he can, which is one of the best players in the world. And equally, Beauden Barrett in that fullback jersey with the kicks coming at him, decision-making, making sure that when he's injected into the game, he's making good, positive decisions. And I'm still very unsure about whether or not he's a fullback. So he just needed to see a performance out of him, and he was simply outstanding. And I feel that they justified their selection, and equally didn't talk about Sam Cane because I feel he's the All Black captain, and you hope that he goes out there like he does every week and delivers a ruthless performance. Wow, he couldn't have been better. So massive, wasn't he? Yeah. I don't see them making any changes. No, I think they've got the balance right, and those players would have got a lot of confidence out of that performance. And equally, Ian Foster didn't go to his bench. He didn't use Christie or McKenzie, who many people thought definitely Christie lucky to be in the mix, and equally McKenzie could possibly have been selected, but needed to be in the side to give us something different. Wasn't needed because everybody else did their job so well.
And finally, mate, I haven't seen you move that far since you had your jersey on and you were playing. Did you manage to get to the loo and back at half time?
Mate, it's one of those things, isn't it? I was consuming a lot of water, and when you need to go, you need to go. The queue for the
it's ridiculous, mate. It's ridiculous.
You obviously can't go in the middle of commentary, and I didn't enable to get myself there. So like playing the last sort of minute defending 37 phases like the All Blacks did. I had to defend 40 minutes of pressure in another area.
Great talking to you as always, bro.
Cheers, Marty. Take it easy, buddy.
Devlin.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
The Platform.